I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, a tipsy night class teaching the oddities and unexpected curiosities you never learned in school.
Powered by a thirst for knowledge and boxed wine, we covered the most fascinating lessons in history, science, true crime, pop culture, and the paranormal.
What are we drinking for this learning journey, Hayley?
I am drinking water, but we have some Modelo's as well.
Yes, we do. It's my favorite cheap beer, and I bought a 12-pack this week.
That box looked bigger than a 12-pack. I thought that it was like a big boy 24.
No, I wish. It's just a 12, but I'm saving it for when I move, so that's why it's in the living room. I've been hoarding boxes.
Okay, so we don't just like to keep trash around.
Well, we do.
We do that. Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, but that one has a specific purpose. So looking forward to that in the near future.
Yeah. I'm drinking water because up until 2 hours ago, I was severely hungover.
Wah, wah, wah.
But that's only because we got to see Megan the motherfucking Stallion last night.
Yes, it was so fun. There was a severe thunder and lightning storm, and they canceled her show. But then because she's a hot girl, she came on at 1 a.m. and we were there.
A true queen. We saw her. We basically met her.
Basically.
We were so close.
We were maybe 20 feet away from her. The good part about the concert being canceled and then like last minute being put on in the middle of the night is there weren't that many people there. So we got to be pretty close.
It was great. And we got to walk home. It was just an all around good time. I love, though, that we just went for Megan Thee Stallion. Like, guys, this was a 3-day long music festival that we bought 1-day tickets for and just were going to go for Megan Thee Stallion.
I'm glad we did it that way.
Me too.
I think I would have been too tired for a 1 a.m. concert had I been at a music festival all day.
I need to show up as my best self.
I
did.
Her. Yeah, me too. And I did lay in bed. The concert was literally a mile from our house. And so I listened to the entire Group Love concert from the privacy of my own home, which was nice.
That is so nice. I didn't even get to hear it from my place, but whatever. It's fine.
It's okay. You'll get over it.
I saw the Instagram stories of it.
Yeah. Who do you know that went? I guess we probably shouldn't talk about
a bunch of people, around Memphis.
There you go. I do want to shout out Midtown Kroger. Have you been in recently?
No.
It's so much better. They heard our cries. They listened to Night Classy and they fixed it.
How did they fix it?
They moved a bunch of shit out of the way and opened up more self-checkout so you can just get in and out a lot faster and it's not so crowded and crazy.
So more than half of them are open at a time now?
Yeah. They had a shit ton open. It was the best.
Oh, God. This is adulthood. Just bitching and moaning about your local grocery store. And then it gets to the point where I barely even go in there anymore.
Oh, I avoid it like the plague. But this week I had to go in and I was pleasantly shocked. Quite frankly.
I'm going to have to check it out. Shout out to you, Midtown Kroger.
Shout out. And I had something I was going to bring up and then I forgot it. So that's that. I just want to welcome all of our new listeners. We have had our biggest month of downloads ever by a long shot. By a shit ton.
In April. So thank you for being here. If you like listening to Night Classy, share it with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to spread it. Check us out on TikTok. I know a lot of you came over here from there. And just thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I remembered what I was going to say. We have cocktail hour this week on Friday. It's Alex's birthday. We're going to go hard. If you don't know what that is, every first Friday of the month, we hold a Zoom hangout for our friends on Patreon. If you want to come hang out with us on Zoom, drink a cocktail, shoot the shit, you can join Patreon at any tier and get an invite to cocktail hour.
Yeah. We're pretending like it's early COVID again when everyone had those Zoom cocktail hours to see their friends. But we just have, friends from all over. So
it would be cool if we could see you guys in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. One day when we're on tour, we'll have a little planned meetup or something like that. Yes. But until then, cocktail, Patreon, 7 p.m. May 6th.
Catch us there.
Yeah. And if you've been on the fence, hop on board because I want you there for my birthday.
Yeah, have a little birthday party for Alec. Maybe I'll make him open his gifts on Zoom. No, I probably won't, but I'll think about it. Yeah, you can do that. But yeah, it'll be really fun. Find us there, and that's all I have.
That's all I have too. I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go too. So I, for some reason, after one Modelo, my body decided it wants to be lit, and I blew a .0143, or no, up 0.143. I am. Isn't .07 like
.08?
.08 is so I'm like almost double the legal limit somehow off of one beer.
What? I thought you said .01.
No, 0.143.
I'm wasted.
Apparently.
You are off the chain. Or maybe it's just our janky breathalyzer we got from Amazon.
Yeah, it's a lie.
It could never tell a lie. It would never.
It would never do that to us.
It's the most reliable thing, and all law enforcement should continue using them, as well as lie detector tests.
Not. I miss not
That's
jokes.
satire. Yeah. I blew .000 because I'm hungover.
So hungover. I was shocked I wasn't hungover this morning.
Yeah. I was like, that bitch.
I think I drank half as much as you did, though.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know what it was. I was so excited to see Megan. I was just bam, bam.
But I did drink my whole disgusting cocktail, which I don't think, did you drink your whole one?
No.
Yeah.
God, no.
I literally almost threw up on the couch because it tasted so bad.
I've never actually like gagged after drinking anything. And it would have been fine if it was cold, but it was warm. It was literally warm.
We only had unrefrigerated rum and unrefrigerated ginger beer. So I mixed the two, and then it was just like a warm, dark and stormy. But also we had to leave for Megan in like 20 minutes. So I made it mostly rum with like part ginger beer. And so we were basically just drinking warm spiced rum, and it was horrific. It got me fucked up too, but I didn't get hungover.
Boo, you whore.
I am a whore. All right, so I'm going first, and here we go. I'm excited about this. Alec, do you have my slides ready?
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to pull them up yet, but
okay.
Just have them in the queue. Teresa Neumann, and I could just say Teresa Newman, but she's German, so I'm going to say it like I think it's supposed to be said. And fun fact, I'm so annoying. I'm already starting a story. Anyway, at your high school, I can't fucking talk. At your high school, did they, when you took a foreign language class, like give you a name, like a new name?
Yes.
My German name in my German class was Teresa. And so
that's cute.
So, and we're talking about Teresa today. She was born in April 9th of 1898 in a small village in Bavaria. She was a feisty and opinionated Aries, but when she was about 20 years old, she fell off a stool in her uncle's barn.
Uh-oh.
This left her partially paralyzed, and being partially paralyzed, she had a hard time walking, so this led to more falls. After one particularly bad fall, she partially lost her eyesight.
Oh, no. So she's just getting like brain damage after brain damage.
Yeah, she's getting beat the fuck up. Poor Teresa. So her eyesight got worse and worse until it was fully gone.
Get the girl a fucking wheelchair.
Right? I don't understand why we were just letting her
There's a better way
around
to do this.
Down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, apparently, like nobody could think of a better way, because what happened next was now she's blind and partially paralyzed. So, and it's the 1800s, well, early 1900s. So now she's like fully bedridden, and apparently no one took care of her because she developed horrible bed sores. They were so bad that sometimes they would expose bone.
How do you let someone get that bad? Like, she's not just in a bed on the side of the road.
No, she has parents. She's living with her parents at this point. So I really don't know. But then in 1923, a miracle happened. Teresa of Lisieux was canonized in Rome as a saint. And when this happened, Teresa, who was Catholic, claims that this saint appeared to her and cured her paralysis blindness, and bed sores.
Lucky.
I know. Very, very lucky. And then in 1925, Newman was diagnosed with appendicitis. So she really just can't get a break. She's finally cured, and now she gets appendicitis.
I mean, would you rather?
That's true. At least, I don't think there's anything I want less than bed sores that expose my bone.
No, I would throw up just looking at it. I can't handle
I have
exposed.
pictures for you in a minute.
I can't handle the exposed flesh, the bone, any of that. I almost wanted to go into nursing school when I was younger, but then I was like, wait, I can't do that.
I know. I don't know why I ever thought I could. I wanted to be like an oral surgeon, and then I wanted to be a vet. I just like had all these medical fantasies.
I think I really just wanted to make a lot of money.
That was me too. Yeah. But like, I'm like, bitch, you can't even look at blood.
Yeah. Sit down. You have to know yourself.
I really wish I knew myself earlier and knew my strengths, because I think my life would have gone a lot differently. I would have made different choices.
Yeah. I was like going into college, I was like, you can't make a career out of interior design. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a whole major. Too late.
Yeah, way too late. It is what it is. So let's see. She was on the surgery bed for her appendicitis, and she's convulsing violently. She's in a lot of pain. And while she's being prepped for surgery, she begs her family to take her to the church to pray. And I'm just like,
girl, pray here.
Right. You can pray here. And also, like, who are these parents? Because they freaking listened to her. They took her off the surgery bed to the church instead of getting fucking surgery.
And she was Catholic?
She was Catholic.
Okay.
Very Catholic.
Clearly.
So she got to the church, she prayed, and look at that. Teresa was cured of appendicitis.
Look at Sky Daddy.
She really is God's favorite. It's amazing. And on that same year, on the first Friday of Lent, a wound appeared above her heart. And she didn't tell anyone about this wound. She's like, that's weird. And then the wound went away. And then it appeared again a week later, and again the following week. And each time it appeared, it was accompanied by a vision, like a different vision from the Bible. And on this like last time, she had a vision of Christ bearing the cross. And it was like she was there. She saw it happen.
Wait, I'm missing something. Did she ever get the appendicitis
No,
surgery?
she was cured when she prayed.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like God and science.
No,
or if
it was just God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
Thank
all
you for filling that in.
So she gets this vision, and this time a wound appeared on her left hand. And up until now, she'd been keeping these wounds a secret from everyone but her sister. I think she told her sister after like the second or third time it happened.
Yeah, you have to let it happen a couple of times. I feel like
Right.
before you're going to tell someone, you have to make sure
Yeah.
that it's really happening.
Yeah, making sure you're not hallucinating, because that would be my first thought if I got a wound on my chest. But I think I think the first thing I would do is run up to someone and be like, do you see this? Yeah, for sure. So she kept getting more and more wounds, so severe that like blood was starting to soak through her clothes, and she obviously couldn't keep it a secret anymore. She told everyone that she had had a vision and seen the entire passion of the Christ just before the wounds appeared. So, that's him being crucified. So
she's like bleeding through her arm or her shirt, and some dude's like, ma'am, your period.
like, don't listen to her. She's just on her period.
She's hysterical.
Yeah. I don't like to call people hysterical, but I think Teresa might qualify.
Oh, okay.
Just up until now, she's like having these visions. She's all bloody. She's a mess. And so she sees this vision. She's now, I'm sure, traumatized, because that sounds terrifying. And by November 5th, 1926, she had 9 wounds on her head as well as on her back and shoulders. And that's when this iconic photo was taken. Here it is in our slides. Here we go.
Oh my God.
There she is.
So scary. What the fuck?
She looks fucking terrifying. You can't even see her eyes. There's like blood pouring out of her eye sockets.
It looks like her hands have been punctured, and she just has blood everywhere. Just splotches of blood. It's all on her pillows and stuff.
Yeah.
She looks way older than I thought she would be by this time.
Yeah, she's like 30, I think, at this time. And yeah, she's wearing all white with like a white hood, and she has white bedding, and everything's just soaked in blood. She looks fucked up. It's not a cute look.
Get a tampon.
She looks like the ghost of Christmas Future
She
in
does.
Scrooge.
The Ghost of Christmas Future? What did that look like?
He's the one with the
Chains?
hood
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have no
who
idea.
doesn't speak.
I'll take
That-
your word for it.
That play fucked me up.
Really?
I was so scared of it. Yeah. So onlookers saw her. She had visitors and stuff. People were like, whoa. But nobody ever actually saw her bleeding. Like, they didn't see blood actively coming out. They just saw her covered in blood. So kind of sus.
Yeah. Is
And-
it ketchup?
No, I believe it is real blood, but I don't know.
Maybe just not actually coming from wounds. all
Yeah,
on
maybe
her?
that, or like the wounds were closed up by now. I don't know exactly. And she would continue to have these visions and experience wounds similar to what Jesus's injuries would have been getting crucified.
Yeah.
So we can see, she has the wounds on her hands. And Teresa was what's called a stigmatic, and her wounds were stigmata. Have you heard of this before?
No, I have not.
According to Wikipedia, stigmata are, quote, the appearance of bodily wounds, scars, and pain in locations corresponding to the crucifixion wounds of Jesus Christ, such as the hands, wrists, and feet. So
I feel like the name Stigmata is not descriptive
no,
of what it is.
I'm sure there's like some Roman.
There's the roots of the words probably make sense. But for me, I just feel like there's a simpler way to be like, they are fucked up like Jesus was.
Yeah, they're fucked up like Jesus was. And stigmatics are typically Roman Catholics. They've existed for a really long time. So the first recorded stigmatic in history was Saint Francis of Assisi in 1224. And according to legend, what happened with him was an angel appeared to him while he prayed. And this angel looked fucked up. Francis could see that it was crucified. And instead of being terrified like a normal person would be, he says that he was filled with elation, but also filled with pain and suffering. Like he was feeling, I think, what this angel was going through. And after the angel left, Francis noticed that he had wounds in his hand, feet, and side, similar to the wounds of Jesus being crucified. And then he was stabbed in the ribs with by a Roman soldier. So Francis also had that wound in his abdomen.
My goodness.
Yeah, poor Franny. And after this story, other people began having similar experiences. So very devout Catholics were like experiencing the Passion of the Christ on their body.
Oh my gosh. The original Me Too movement.
No. So this is really weird, right? And
yes, it is very weird. Thank you.
So to figure out like what the hell is happening here, I don't want to say a lot, but there has been like an amount of scientific research conducted about this phenomenon. A 19th century study by Dr. A. Imbert Goubier,
Nailed it.
French name, found that the vast majority of stigmatics throughout history are women. They account for at least 87%.
Because we're crazy.
We are crazy. And I feel like you could just get your period and like, smear some of that
Do a
blood
little
on your
zhuzhing.
hands. Yeah. You're like, bow to me, bitch. I'm a saint now.
Yes, so easy.
So this is actually on the low end of estimates because a lot of like nunneries, this was a big thing, is nuns would claim to have these wounds. And
This is some freaky shit.
it's so fucking freaky. And convents would try to hide this. Like they would, if one of their sisters was stigmatic, they typically like wouldn't share that information because they didn't want her to be in the face of public scrutiny. because people be scrutinizing.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
That makes sense to me. No matter who I was, where I was, I would not be broadcasting this.
No, this is not something you want to broadcast. But I mean, some people did want to broadcast it because if you're like a super devout Catholic, this is like a sign of you being blessed by God or chosen by God. So
for sure. That makes sense. But if I was someone's friend and they were stigmatic, maybe we wouldn't be friends. I don't know.
We would be having an intervention for sure.
Yeah, like what do you need? Do you need attention? Like what void can I help you fill so that you are not doing this?
Just do anything but this.
Literally
because this is disgusting. And like we were just saying, it's really hard to believe that God is wounding people in the image of Jesus. Like we all have a hard time believing this.
Yes.
One of the main critiques of stigmatics is that their crucifixion wounds typically aren't in historically accurate places. When Jesus was crucified, the nails went through his wrists and his ankles. If they went through his hands and his feet, they would not have supported his body weight.
Yeah.
However, when we see images of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ portrayed, the nails are through his feet and hands. And stigmatics, typically, there have been a few where they don't, but they have wounds on the palms of their hands. And why would God be wounding you in the wrong place? God was there. He knows what fucking happened.
It's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. all of this, God is trying to cover up what actually happened. The devil's in the details.
Why is he trying to cover it up?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
because
really
he killed his
to
own
him.
son. I'd want to cover that up too. We're so heretic right now.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
Jeez. Yeah, people are gonna find out real quick if this is the podcast for you or not.
Yep. Come bring on the 1 stars.
think
I'm ready for
Yeah, it's for the best.
Yeah, and to be fair, like I don't want to like talk shit about anyone's religion, but I think we can agree that this is this is a little far.
Yeah.
Edward Hartung in 1935 concluded that St. Francis of Assisi was probably actually suffering from quartan malaria. So people, have theorized all kinds of different like explanations. This was his, and quartan malaria affects the liver, spleen, and stomach and causes intense pain. So, he was having that vision and then suddenly was in a shit ton of pain.
Yeah.
This could explain that. And it's known to sometimes cause purple spots, like accumulations of blood under the skin, which could possibly be punctured and pour blood, appearing as though it was, an open wound. Another hypothesis is maybe he was suffering, Jesus Christ, from leprosy. In general, there have been a ton of hypotheses throughout history on what sufferers of stigmata actually have. One of the original explanations was epilepsy or hysteria, which would explain the visions, but doesn't explain the wounds.
I love how hysteria was just a medical diagnosis.
Yeah, just a blanket explanation, and nobody even really knew what it had.
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
It was just enough to get them committed to a psych ward.
Yeah. And I don't know
them.
because I know originally hysteria, like in ancient Greece, it was like wandering womb, but I don't think they still thought that.
What is wandering womb?
Like your womb would like run around your body.
What?
And that made me crazy.
Dang, I wonder what causes wandering womb.
Being a woman, I don't know.
Being a woman, it was the one of the first modes of birth control. If your womb isn't where it's supposed to be, how are you gonna get pregnant?
Yeah, she's just running away.
Cut that bitch loose.
Fair enough.
Let her do her thing.
Yeah, let her go.
Girls just want to have fun.
Run, Forrest, run. Let's see. Quick trigger warning for eating disorders and self-harm. I think the most likely explanation for this, just like on the surface, is self-harm.
Yeah.
Self-harm often goes hand in hand with self-starvation and dissociative mental states, both of which are sometimes practiced in religion in the form of extreme fasting and intense prayer. So if you're like a super intense religious person, you might fast for days and days and days. You might have dissociative visions because you're meditating and praying so hard, and you might self-harm and blame it on stigmata. Scientific studies have linked anorexia nervosa with displays of self-mutilation as part of obsessive compulsive disorder. So stigmatics, especially those doing extreme fasts, might be compelled to ritually harm themselves, resulting in stigmata. And this actually applies to Teresa because she was starving herself at the time of her stigmata. So from 1923 until she died in 1962, Teresa claims to have not eaten anything except for taking communion. And she claims to have not drank anything from 1926 until her death.
Okay, first of all, liar, liar, pants on fire. Second of all, if you're just going to have a cracker or piece of bread, what is it, like once a week, maybe twice a week if she's devout?
Yeah.
Choose better bread. Get some seasoning on there.
At least put some salt on the cracker. We've discussed this issue before, but
do something.
Seriously,
make it pleasurable. If you want people to come back to church, like I definitely could have seen myself becoming religious if the crackers tasted good.
That would help. And actually, I went to a church one time. It was when I was in college, and they had the coolest communion ever. It was this huge church, and then there'd be like a little like pocket on the back of the seat, like, you know, where the Bible and hymn book and whatever goes.
Yeah.
And it was like a pre-packaged, like single, like a snack pack almost
Of communion crackers?
Of communion. There was a little cracker in there and like a little tiny thing of grape juice, all in like a freaking Lunchable.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
so cool.
What if you get on like a plane, for example, and they have little like communion packs for the snacks
Oh my
instead of that? And they're like,
gosh.
just in case we go down.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's a good idea. I'm not religious, but I think if the plane was crashing, I could be religious.
yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I guess so.
You just like shoot your shot.
Like, fuck it.
At the
Yeah.
end, it's like, okay, if there is a God, may as well eat this fucking disgusting cracker.
Yeah.
and
No
hope
time
the
for
best.
oxygen. Baptize me real quick.
Yeah. You're just like dunking your head in the sink. You're pouring like a bottle of Dasani over your head. Cute. So surviving years without eating anything is called inedia, which is Latin for fasting. It's also sometimes called breatharianism. Breatharianism.
What?
Like
what's up with all these names that
There's a
are
lot of
not lining up?
vocabulary. Breatharianism. It sounds like I think it's supposed to sound like vegetarianism, but like you only eat your breath.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I
you
see.
can only breathe.
Kind of like that. They should rename that. They should call snoring that.
Okay, you
Is it
can if
just-
you want. No one knows what breatharianism is anyway. You may as
Yeah.
well make up a new definition for
Sounds
it.
way more serious than just like I can't breathe right at night.
Yeah, I feel like snoring makes it sound trivial. Like it's kind of a cutesy name for something that's really fucking annoying.
Yes, it is.
We definitely need to give it a more
start
intense
calling
name.
it like breatheraria attack. If you add attack to it, it makes it seem urgent too.
Yeah, it is an attack on
And then I
your
like-
own lungs and on everyone else's mental
Yes, I
state.
freaking shake Tommy awake. I'm like, you're having a breatheraria attack.
You need to do something about his snoring. I don't know
He
what that might be,
needs to.
but get on that because I have like secondhand sympathy for you.
Thank you. Just start taking a Benadryl every night. So what could go wrong?
It is hard. I went on a road trip with my dad when I moved to Memphis and love my dad, but he snores. And I got the worst night of sleep every night because we would have the same hotel room and he'd just be snoring it up. It's okay. I got over it. Not really.
I have sympathy for you. Snores unite. If your partner snores, then I'm sorry.
So sorry. So anedia shows up in many different religions, but it's most commonly associated with Hinduism. And some Hindus believe that you can solely survive on prana, which is like the vital life force. So by, meditating and getting energy from the universe and God, you can just survive on that. I mean, I feel like we see this sometimes with like monks doing extreme fasts, and obviously Teresa was doing this in a Catholic context, so you do see this a lot. Not a lot, it's not common, but it's a widespread over a lot of religions. And she'd become pretty famous for her Anidia and Stigmata. She was kind of like a folk hero among certain Catholics at this time.
She's like Catholic girl shit.
Yeah,
stuff.
she's a prom queen Catholic.
For sure.
Catholic prom queen. And people were interested in her, but like also like really suspicious, obviously. Like she's claimed not to eat for years. So in July of 1927, a physician named Otto Seidel, along with 4 Franciscan nurses, physically examined Teresa and observed her Anidia. The team observed her for 15 days, and in those 15 days, they did not see her eat anything, and they did not take their eyes off of her. Although at the beginning of the experiment, Teresa weighed 121 pounds, and over the length of the experiment, her weight dropped to 112.5 pounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So she probably stocked up a little bit before this, and then...
That's what they're thinking. Because she lost 10 pounds within 2 weeks.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But by the last day, her weight was back up to where it started. So maybe she like had been escaped. Like maybe she started out by actually not eating and then like escaped somewhere and then was like able to like sneak food.
How bizarre. Maybe there was an insider, like one of the nurses was.
Yeah, maybe. Or her family was there too. Maybe they were helping her. I don't know. And unfortunately, the test was never able to be repeated because her family refused to give permission for any more tests because they were faking it.
Yeah, of course. They're like, why do you need to do it again? We did it once.
Yeah,
I mean,
you saw she didn't eat.
It's valid. Statistically, it's valid.
Yeah, let's just
significant.
Go with these first test results. Why not? In Otto Seidel's report, he described Teresa as hysteric. Shock.
Yes, that is like one of the key words in the 19 and 1800s. I feel like that it's like, okay, 5 words to describe women. It's going to be hysterical, crazy, what else?
Submissive, childbearing.
Defiant, childbearing.
Nailed it.
And we're just out here living our lives.
Whenever someone annoys me from now on, I'm just going to tell them they're hysteric and they need to see a doctor. A recent medical paper, though, diagnosed her with dissociative disorder, and that's a really common diagnosis for people that struggle with this. Although some experts believe that her and her family were just like outright conning people for the fame and the attention. Although this did happen during Hitler's rise to power, and like he was very anti-Catholic, so it was dangerous for them to be doing this. So I don't know that, but I mean, I guess that doesn't stop people from wanting attention. So who knows? Whatever the case was, that she was most likely engaging in some form of self-harm. Who knows the reason, whether she actually like did believe like this was going on, but like somehow was also self-harming, or she was literally just doing it for the attention.
Yeah, maybe it gave her like also a sense of control and power over her own life that I feel like maybe was kind of stripped from her after falling so many times and having so many injuries. Yeah.
And I mean, there's 1,001 different like psychological reasons to do self-harm, and we don't know exactly what her motivations were, like exactly what psychological like issues she was experiencing. We're not sure. There are about 25 stigmatics alive today. And from studying contemporary stigmatics, we know they tend to be victims of abuse and suffer low self-esteem, both of which drastically increase your risk of self-harm. And calling their wounds stigmata may be a way to justify or deflect responsibility for their self-harm.
I wonder if it's covered by health insurance.
What?
Like if you have to go to the hospital, if they have a code when they're billing your insurance for stigmata.
I really doubt it, but maybe one can hope. And it could be more complex than that. For example, possibly a form of Munchausen syndrome.
Oh, okay.
So Munchausen syndrome, if you don't know, is a rare mental disorder where a person might fake illness or injury for personal gain. Personal gain could mean anything from attention, money, access to medications. So it could be that.
Yeah.
Hypochondria has also been offered as an explanation. And I think this one makes a lot of sense, especially in Teresa's case, because if we remember, she started out paralyzed and then she went blind and then she had appendicitis. And each time she was miraculously healed. But these are all things that you don't just get over. Yeah. You don't heal from these things.
You literally die if your appendix is going to explode and you don't get it removed.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
Yeah. And I guess there maybe have been cases where people can work on getting their movement back after being paralyzed, but it's pretty hard and pretty rare. And then blindness, I think once your eyes are damaged, I don't think you can go back from that without surgery.
Yeah. I was going to say there are some ways, but surely not just overnight for any of these ailments.
No, certainly not. So I think what is most likely is she never really had them at all, but maybe she did believe she had them. Maybe she had severe hypochondria and thought that these things were happening to her. And then that would explain how she would be miraculously cured because she was never really suffering from them.
Yeah, she just wakes up one day and is like, let's try something new. Yeah. I'm bored.
I prayed really hard last night and I deserve to
see again.
Yeah. There's also physical medical explanation. So I think probably what 99.9% of these cases are is some kind of psychological explanation.
100%.
But there are medical conditions that can look like this. So there's a medical condition called hematidrosis, which causes a person to sweat blood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's extremely rare, but it does exist and has been referenced throughout history. So the Bible mentions Jesus sweating blood before the crucifixion, and Leonardo da Vinci wrote about soldiers sweating blood before battle. And these instances make sense because hematidrosis typically flares up in times of extreme stress or fear. And that's because in very rare instances, our body's fight or flight response can rupture capillaries. And capillaries are tiny blood vessels inside our tissue, and they tend to be located around sweat glands. So if they start spontaneously bursting, the blood can be released through your sweat glands.
Yeah, that would be it for me. I would pass out immediately.
It's terrifying. And there's pictures online of what this looks like. And it really does look like people are sweating blood.
Oh my gosh, when I get to that high of an emotionally elevated state, I tend to just pass out. That's historically what's happened.
Yeah.
I can't imagine dealing with
yeah, you pass out and then you wake up and you're covered in blood.
Covered in blood. I would pass out again. It would just be a cycle until somebody could come clean me up real quick while I was passed out.
Quick, wipe her up.
Wipe her down. Get the hose.
There's also something called hemalcria, which causes you to cry blood. And if Teresa had this, that might make sense because there was blood coming from her eyes in the photo. Although in that photo, there was a lot of blood coming from her eyes.
Black.
Yeah, it's severe if this is the case. And this can be caused by a long list of things. We don't fully understand this condition because it's so rare. So there's a giant laundry list of what people think is an explanation. Some of these things include hormone changes, inflammation, trauma, nosebleeds, and tumors. One final medical explanation I have here for stigmata is called psychogenic purpura. It's also called Gardner-Diamond syndrome. And this is an extremely rare condition with only 200 reported cases. And it causes spontaneously occurring large and painful bruises. And it's also sometimes accompanied by fainting, nausea, vomiting, and internal bleeding. It's brought on usually by trauma and mostly affects young to middle-aged women. And they think there's a link between this and personality disorders. And if you recall, a lot of stigmatics get diagnosed with a personality disorder, and most of them are women. And this disease causes you to have like huge bruises. So they line up pretty well with a lot of the stigmatics cases.
Yeah.
Overall, though, there have been about 400 identified stigmatics from the 14th century to the present. More than 60 of them have been declared saints or blessed by the Catholic Church.
Whoa.
So large
Catholics
proportion.
are into some freaky shit.
They can be really intense.
Tell you what, that's on a whole other level.
Yeah, and I don't want to go, and I don't want like Catholics to think I'm saying, or anyone to think I'm saying all Catholics believe in this, because I would bet that the vast majority don't. I think this is like very like traditional extreme Catholics.
Yes. Yeah.
But like it's wild. And this includes Teresa Neumann. The Roman Catholic Church has never confirmed or denied her Inidia or Stigmata, and she remains a popular religious figure among very devout Catholics who believe her stigmata are genuine. A petition for her beatification, which is kind of like sainthood. It's like sainthood light. Gained 40,000 signatures.
Wow.
And in 2005, the Vatican opened formal proceedings for her beatification. So
did it happen?
I don't think it's happened yet.
Oh, okay.
I think it takes a while
long
to process.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So there definitely are people who genuinely believe in this. And
yeah, if I were Catholic, honestly, I'd probably be all for it. If I'm going to decide to be religious,
you may as well go all in.
I'm going all in.
Fair enough. And I feel kind of hypocritical because I can entertain the idea that some exorcisms are real, but I think like you just have to be really careful, because I think like almost all the time it can be explained by something not supernatural, and then you're just putting someone through the trauma of an exorcism. And same with this, like I don't believe that stigmata is
a true
divine.
Yeah.
I think it's people self-harming for whatever reason, and you know that shouldn't be like held up on a pedestal. They should be getting help. So I think you have to be kind of careful.
And I'd be interested to know how many people who have this stigmata have heard about other people who have had it.
I think probably all of them. I don't think you just like spontaneously do this.
Thinking like you have to hear about it, and you kind of almost, I don't know if it's a conscious or subconscious decision that you must be making to kind of go down this stigmata path.
Yeah, it's definitely a well, it's not a choice probably for some people, but like it's a pretty big commitment.
And especially when you have like the mental health disorders that go into it and that are layered. It just is a very complex situation going on,
especially because we don't fully understand it. There's so few people that suffer from this, so it's hard to really pin it down. But in 2016, a Samoan woman claimed to be a stigmatic. According to her, she was playing Jesus in a church play of a crucifixion reenactment on Good Friday. And when she was doing this, wounds appeared on her palms, feet, forehead, and side. And I have pictures of this. We can kind of go through them. So here's her hands, and I wouldn't even call these wounds. It looks like she like stabbed the palm of her hand with a dull pencil and made a little mark on it.
That's exactly what it looks like. It almost even looks like it's made with a marker or Sharpie that she washed off.
Yeah, it looks just more like a tiny bruise than anything. And you can go to the next one, Alec. Those are her feet. So she has like a little tiny puncture wound on each foot. And then there's her forehead, and it's scratched up. And I think that, well, I know that that's supposed to be like where the crown of thorns was, like scratching Jesus's head.
Interesting.
She also appeared to be bleeding through her clothes during a television interview. So here she is, and she's wearing white, and you can see like a little blood spot under her boob.
Ma'am, your spleen.
She has appendicitis.
Don't take her to the hospital, though.
Take her to church.
She'll never get her sainthood.
During a TV interview, she said, quote, "I'm just another human being, but my body has been used as a reminder because God knows that the faith of his servants are dying." So that's what she thinks.
That's a really scary way to remind humans.
Right? It doesn't seem like a good strategy.
This is what I'm talking about. Just the intensity of it all is on another level.
Just like fly around or some shit. Like do something fun.
Yeah, do something new.
Don't make people bleed.
We're tired about hearing the crucifixion. Yeah, fly around.
Yeah, we get it. Jesus was crucified. I understand. Do something new.
Crucify.
We have the same old ideas.
There's some other people that could get the crucifixion.
Oh, wow. Who?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of it in a way that it's like, I almost feel like it's a punishment, but then it's like, it was a good thing almost, like Jesus dying for everyone's sins.
Haley wants to bring back the crucifying people. You heard it here
first.
I
just want the torture methods of Christmas past back and not do it in a crucifying way. Okay. I don't know. There's some really bad people.
That's true, but I don't think anyone should be crucified.
Which is why I said just torture them.
Oh my God. You are going to get in trouble.
I'm just kidding.
She also claimed she had a, quote, sickness for the past 3 years that causes vision. So we see this a lot with stigmatics. And I think that's why a lot of them are like diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, is they're having like these visions and this grandiose sense of self. And then that goes along with the stigmata. Her story has been met with mixed reactions. Samoa is a very Catholic country, and even their prime minister was quoted saying, "We should be happy about these events. If it happens to someone, it means they're holy." So even the most like powerful people are kind of on her side.
Like, hurrah!
Yeah. But of course, other people have pointed out that she is likely self-harming and this should not be celebrated. Like, she needs to be given help, which, yes, I agree with that part. And yeah, they definitely need medical and psychiatric intervention if you are claiming to be going through something like this. And before we end here, I do want to throw my own hat in the stigmata ring and let you all know that I am chosen by God as well, and I am blessed because I have a form of eczema that gives me blisters on the palms of my hands.
I thought you were about to show us some warts.
I mean, basically, you can kind of see,
I see
my
it.
little
Looking
blisters looking dry, and when they heal, they dry out and then they scab over, and my scab is healed, but I had like a big scab on the palm of my hand for like this past week. So if you'd like me to become a saint, you can start a petition on change.org, send it to the Vatican, and then
we'll get this rolling.
We can get this ball rolling.
The Vatican will immediately listen to this episode and they'll be like, oh no, she's not the one.
They'll know I am the one. They'll be like, okay, this all makes sense.
Despite her disbelief in our religion.
Maybe this is God teaching me that it's real, is making me a stigmatic.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who knows?
I'm here for it. Yeah.
We're going to get in so much trouble for this episode. I'm sorry. I really don't mean to offend anyone, but I think we can all agree that like this is a psychological disorder and not something spiritual. At least I hope we can all agree
I hope
on that.
so. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Okay. Me too. My sources are the Teresa Newman Wikipedia page, theguardian.com, the Stigmata Wikipedia page, Bizarropedia, the Inidia Wikipedia page, netterhealth.vic.gov.au, healthline.com, Painful Bruising Syndrome Wikipedia page, psychiatrictimes.com, Britannica.com, and a BBC article called Samoa Divided Over Local Women's Stigmata by Tessa Wong. And that was my lesson. Let's hear from our sponsor.
Thanks for that.
Bye. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We've been doing like a lot of visioning exercises lately, and something keeps coming up to the top of your list.
And that would be therapy. It is extremely valuable to me. I have been so lucky and privileged to be able to have seen a therapist on a regular basis, and the difference that it makes in my own life. Like immediately after I'm done talking with my therapist, I feel better, I feel lighter, and I just have an overall better outlook than I had going into the appointment.
I think like a lot of times we don't realize how much trauma we're actually carrying around. Yesterday, Hayley and I, we had some drinks and we were kind of like unloading our childhood traumas to each other. And I think in our day-to-day life, you don't think about it, but it does still affect you. And it's so important to talk to a professional and unpack some of those things so that you can move on from them and have a healthier, better quality life.
Yeah, when you make decisions that are what's best for you rather than like trauma-informed decisions and you're able to unpack it, life gets better. You know, without a healthy mind being truly happy and at peace, it's hard. It's very hard. But I know that therapy works and it's not just for me.
No, and BetterHelp is here to help you. It is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So thank God you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It is more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours.
Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset.
And special offer to Night Classy listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/classy. That is betterhelp.com/classy. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode.
Welcome back.
Hello.
It is my turn to take us on a learning journey. We are headed to the town of Skidmore, Missouri. It's a small town that has a population of 284 people as of the 2000 census. It has now grown over 500 people.
Wow.
I know.
It's
doubling
moving on up in the world.
In like 20 years.
Amazing.
Not too bad. But this town, I think, has some bad energy.
Uh-oh.
Trigger warning for this whole lesson. For gun violence and violence in general, just trigger warning.
Oh, shit. So we're not talking like bad spiritual energy. It is like bad shit.
It might be inspired by bad spirits.
Okay.
But no.
Any stigmatics?
Not in this learning journey,
Okay.
but it would not surprise me. So just a couple of examples. A young man, Branson Perry, disappeared there under mysterious circumstances. He wasn't answering his phone. His house was completely unlocked and open, and it seemed that he had just deserted his life. Although the story was covered by national media, the case today still remains unsolved. And just 3 years after his disappearance in 2004, Branson's cousin, Bobby Jo Stinnett, was murdered and her unborn child was cut from her womb and found 2 days later in Topeka, Kansas.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's speculated that the murderer in that case, Lisa Montgomery, committed this heinous crime to cover up a miscarriage that she had. She was trying to pretend like the baby was hers.
Oh, I see.
She was mentally unwell. She suffered from a lot of abuse and trauma when she was younger, so she was not really in a good place. Mm-hmm. And those are like the biggest. There's been some really big headlines coming out of this small town. And that crime has been solved, but there's another incident in Skidmore that I'll be discussing today. So in July 1981, Ken McElroy and his wife Trina were on their way home after hanging out at a local bar in town. As they were driving down the main street, 2 bullets shattered through the window and hit and killed Ken McElroy. Trina, his wife, became hysterical,
obviously,
like you do. And she even had to be pulled out of the car by some townspeople. And when she was pulled out of the car, several more bullets rang out and hit Ken.
Oh my God. So he was being targeted. It wasn't. Okay.
Yes, he was being targeted. This murder took place in front of dozens of townspeople, yet remains unsolved to this day.
Well, they only have 200 suspects. How hard could it be?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit more about Kenny boy, Ken Rex McElroy. He was the 15th of 16 children.
Damn. To one mom?
To his family was all together. His mom and dad were a poor migrant tenant farming couple, but he dropped out of school in like 8th grade and just really struggled to read and write for the remainder of his life. He's described as having these cold steel blue eyes, and I do have a picture of him. My slides will show you the truck after the bullets hit it. The glass is just obviously shattered. And there's a picture of Ken.
Oh, I like his dog.
Yeah, the dog's very cute. Ken found himself a career in law. And by law, I mean breaking the law.
I was like, wow, that's impressive for someone who dropped out 8th grade. I was very amazed. It's like, good for Ken.
He was a career criminal. He would carry a gun with him at all times, which isn't that rare, but he was just an all-around bully. He relied on intimidation to keep him out of jail. And he had truly mastered the art of bullying. Some people are of the opinion that bullies are insecure, and that's why they trample over others to make themselves feel better. But others believe some bullies are just extremely self-confident and they gain pleasure from terrorizing people. But everyone who discusses the pathology of bullies seem to agree on the element of resentment or envy in making a bully. Ken was a notorious bully who did what he wanted to do to whoever he wanted to do whenever he wanted. And he had this complete disregard for the law. And he was also helped a lot by his lawyer, Richard McFadden, who was highly skilled, and he did anything and everything he could to keep Ken out of jail.
Were they friends?
I think they were friends because Ken was always getting into trouble with the law.
And it sounds like he probably didn't have money to have a lawyer on retainer if he's breaking the law all the time.
He had money.
How?
Because he was constantly stealing
and
I guess getting money.
And probably selling drugs.
Exactly. Although I don't have anything here about him selling drugs. What he mainly did was stole cattle from other townspeople and then sold the cattle, which is highly profitable.
He was literally like a cattle rustler.
Yes, exactly.
And
that's what he was
80s?
doing. This was the 80s.
How do you steal cattle?
I mean, he's a big dude. I think he just, I don't know how he did it, but plenty of people had their cattle stolen from him. He was like terrorizing this town. Some people say that Ken was a psychopath, but the primary characteristic of a psychopath is the lack of empathy, which Ken did not lack empathy. He doted on his children. He loved his wife. He had some very loyal friends and overall did not show a lack of feelings towards other humans, but rather he had no issue letting his wrath rain down on those who he thought deserved it.
What an interesting, it's very complex man. I don't know.
Extremely complex, yes. And he's, as a lot of these types of people are, very charismatic. Mm-hmm. And you didn't have an issue with Ken unless he had an issue with you. On July 17th, 1976, Romaine Henry, a fellow Skidmore farmer, was shot twice with a shotgun by Ken. Ken accosted Romaine in the street and said Romaine was a dirty son of a bitch. Ken also accused Romaine of pulling up to his house in a white Pontiac and just sitting out there, but that never happened. Romaine denied it all, but Ken still went to find Romaine and shot him twice in the stomach. Romaine goes to the hospital and names Ken as the gunman, but two people came forward and gave Ken an alibi of being elsewhere at the time of the shooting.
That's bullshit.
It's complete bullshit.
You can't let someone go just off an alibi.
Oh, they did.
People lie.
People lie. And these people were lying.
Yeah.
Ken literally shot this guy and got away with it. In June 1973, Ken was indicted for arson, assault, and statutory rape and was released. Statutory. What'd I say?
Statuary.
Reading is hard.
It is.
He was released on a $2,500 bail. At that time, he was 39 years old, and the girl he was accused of raping was a 16-year-old girl named Trina McLeod.
Oh, and then they got married. Jesus Christ.
They had
Poor
been
Trina.
they had been seeing each other since she was 14.
Oh my God.
14-year-olds were his type.
Of course they were, because he's a psycho. He likes to control.
Yes, master manipulator. He would pick Trina up from her bus stop after school, and they would go off together, and then he would drop her off back at the bus stop before heading home to his wife.
Oh, so she doesn't become his wife.
Oh, she does.
Oh.
She does. Trina was in love with Ken. Ken was already married.
Well, yeah, she's 16. She's being
groomed.
Yeah.
Ken had been married 5 times in his life and had a ton of kids. We don't really know how many. Numbers range somewhere between 10 or 19.
Okay, I mean, he was one of 16, so
yeah, it runs
like
in his
this
blood.
is normal.
Yeah. He's fertile. When he was seeing Trina, he was with his wife, Alice. And I don't know where in the number line Alice and Trina were. I think they must have been number 4 and 5.
Okay.
Excuse me. But Ken also met his current wife, Alice, when she was 14 years old. Ugh. Trina was jealous of Alice, and she was furious at her parents for disallowing her to see Ken. So she and him hatched a plan. When she turned 16, she accuses Ken of rape, and they already had a child together at this point.
What?
Yes, the child was like a year old or younger.
Why does she have to accuse him of rape? Just them having a child together, that's statutory rape because
because she's literally
underage. Yeah.
And one day, Trina's parents' house went up in flames. Rumors started bubbling that it was Ken who set the fire, obviously.
Wait, I'm sorry. So part of the plan was she would accuse him.
Yeah, and we'll get to how that
okay
plays out. But before anything happened with trial or anything like that, the house burns down, and it was just written off as a wiring issue. Ken was arrested and charged with the rape, though. So Ken and Trina decided to skip town after he was again released on bail.
Why did she even have to go to the police unless he actually did? Like, I don't understand how this is a plan. Like, did he actually rape her and then she
I have
took him
no
back?
clue, because they skipped town to Kansas so that they could get married. I don't know why the rape charge came into it, but
to me
it was
sounds like she went to the police and told on him, because I'm sure he's fucked up, and then he got mad, retaliated, burned her family's house down, and now she has no one, so she is like forced to be with him. That's so fucked up.
Probably so. I don't think, though, at any point she, at least from the sources I got, that Trina was unhappy with him. She seemed to have been completely brainwashed and was extremely loyal to him. She stayed by his side, and maybe it was him just saying like, I'm gonna do this if you don't protect me, because she was like a bodyguard to him later on.
And I mean, that's a lot of victims of abuse are like fiercely loyal to their abuser.
Yeah,
doesn't mean they wanted to be with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I don't know exactly how that all was supposed to play out, if it even was a true plan, but I think that's a good hypothesis. But nonetheless, Ken and Trina skipped town to Kansas where they could get married so that she wouldn't have to testify against him in court.
Okay.
And then since they were married, they just dropped the rape charges.
Jeez.
But Ken and Trina did not flee alone. His wife, Alice, came with them.
What?
With all the kids.
What?
And they lived in the same house. It was a sister-wife situation.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Polygamy was not legal at the time, but breaking the law was a non-issue for Ken. Despite his murderous and abusive past, Ken was reportedly an amazing father. The kids loved him. He made time to play with the kids and really, like I said, doted on them. And all the while, Trina's super loyal, acting as Ken's bodyguard. She was always right by his side with a gun, ready to protect him whenever he needed. And like we said, she's groomed and manipulated by a man who's more than twice her age. One day, two girls, 14 and 4 years old, enter a grocery store in Skidmore, owned by Ernest, Lewis, and Bo Bowenkamp. The younger girl picks out some sweet treats, and the older girl's kind of standing by the door, and they try to just walk out without paying for them. The store owners catch them, and the girls run home upset because they had been accused of thievery. And of course, their father is Ken. Mm-hmm. Trina pulls up to the store mad as hell. There's a huge fight between Trina and the store owners outside, and Trina shouts, "You're about to meet Ken Rex McElroy."
Ugh.
And they're like, okay.
They're like, no, thank you.
No,
Get that weirdo away from me.
Chill out. Yeah, I don't want this. So they try to just keep it out of mind. They're like, okay, that was weird. And they go on with their day. But Ken was waiting outside of the store, and he waited there for hours until they closed. Lewis and Ernest ignored him as they're trying to walk out, and they just wanted to go home. So Ken does what any crazy person would do and starts stalking them. He follows them home that day and starts driving by their house on a daily basis. He starts waiting outside the grocery store. He even fires a shotgun into a tree at their home.
What the hell? He doesn't get arrested?
No, he does not get arrested. And I want to talk more about his psychopathy a little bit more. If he's not a psychopath, what is he? And his actions and temperament point to an antisocial personality disorder. This personality type is seen in someone who, and this is from mentalhealth.gov, someone who has a long-term pattern of manipulating, exploiting, or violating the rights of others. And this behavior is often criminal. So for those with this mental health condition, they often lack guilt and taking personal responsibility and show high rates of irritability and impulsivity.
Okay.
And that
all checks out.
Yeah. And so the situation with the grocery store owners escalates until one day, Bo is around back just waiting for an air conditioning repairman to arrive at the store. Ken pulls up and points a shotgun at Bo and shoots him in the neck and then pulls off and leaves him to die. By some miracle, Bo is found bleeding out in just enough time to gargle out McElroy.
Oh, shit.
The police take McElroy into custody. He spends the night in jail before being released the next day.
Are the police scared of him?
Yes.
Okay.
That is exactly what's going on here.
Jeez.
Everyone is afraid of him. They release him on bail, and while he's out on bail, he continues to stalk the Bowenkamps. This goes on 4 months.
You would think after, continuing to stalk them is basically admitting to murdering the other guy.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd cool it.
And you'd think that you would just keep him in jail.
Right.
Like, this is the second guy that he's either killed or attempted to kill.
Yeah. And if you're scared of him, I don't know if there's a way to, get the feds involved. But if he's being, investigated for murder, you would think that you could call in other police, if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how police work.
I don't know how far we can use the excuse of it being a small town to excuse this behavior by the law enforcement, but everyone's afraid of him. And the Bowen camps are still being stalked by Ken. They had to sleep in shifts with at least one person looking out on the street, and Ken was always there.
That's so scary.
Fucking terrifying. He's sitting there in his truck, glaring at them, parked right outside their house.
What a freak.
I would move. I wouldn't even, I would leave everything probably and just move. I'd be like, peace out.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. So the town marshal, Dave Dunbar, got involved, and he's like, okay, this situation with Ken has gone on way too long. Let's de-escalate it. Dave attempts to talk with Ken, but Ken does what Ken always wants to do, and he pulls a gun out on Dave.
On the marshal?
On the marshal. He threatens the marshal and his family. And Ken asks Dave, he's like, will you be testifying at the Bowen camp trial? Obviously, the marshal is going to testify. Yeah. That's literally his job. And Dave is like, yes, I'll be there, and I'm testifying against you. Ken says, quote, well, I believe in killing any son of a bitch that tries to put me in the pen for the rest of my life.
Did he kill him?
Nope. Dave Dunbar quit his job and skipped town.
Oh, geez. I mean, fair.
Yeah, that's what I would have done that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything particularly special about Skidmore. I'm sure if you're there, your family's probably been there for a long time. But he was terrorizing this whole town. And a year after the Bowen camp shooting, Ken is finally on trial, where he's charged with first-degree assault with a deadly weapon, facing a 10-year minimum sentence. Now, this is a huge step down from his initial charge of murder. He was found guilty of the assault, and it's also the first time he's found guilty of anything. His attorney files an appeal and requests Ken to be released on bail. The judge agrees.
Why? If you're so scared of him, lock him up.
Yeah, it's like finally he can be put behind bars and stop with all this chaos.
Was he bribing people? What the fuck?
I don't know. I didn't see anything like that in my research.
What state was this?
Missouri.
Missouri, okay.
Skidmore, Missouri. So the judge agrees and allows Ken to be released and return to Skidmore, where his gun is. Ken starts making very loud, very public threats that he is going to finish off Bo Bowen camp. And, he had survived this gunshot wound to his neck. And
I didn't even know you could be bailed out for a violent crime like that.
I didn't
where you might
either.
go do it again.
I'm just like wondering what the fuck is going on. Like, is it a time period thing? Is it a political like state law thing?
Yeah.
Hopefully the laws have changed, because it's crazy how many times he got away with the stuff that he did.
Right.
And I'm sure there are many more crimes. I know there are that either were reported but just kind of got lost in the mix, or are not even reported at all.
Yeah, totally.
So Ken starts threatening Bo Bowen camp. He says, I'm going to finally take you out this time. And no one is calling Ken's bluff. They're like, yeah, we believe you'll do it, but we're scared of you.
We know, dude. Stop saying it.
Yeah, you're just hurting yourself. But he's gotten away with it so many times.
Yeah,
that
he doesn't care.
It didn't matter. Some people who heard all of Ken's threats in the tavern that day decide to take the information to the county prosecutor. Finally. And they are requesting a bond revocation hearing. They want to revoke his bail bond. Okay. They're like, this guy is dangerous. Can we do something about it? A hearing is organized to review the case, and most of the town arrives to this hearing, and they're all in a caravan. They're like standing in solidarity. But then Ken's lawyer got the hearing postponed. The townspeople are scared.
Yeah.
And they're fed up.
They're terrified, especially after like they were just seen rallying for him to be put back in jail.
Yeah, the only people who weren't invited were Ken and Trina.
There's like a Facebook page.
I need to be a part of that Facebook page. I want to get all the deeds. This has now become lore in that town.
I bet.
So they take matters into their own hands and they call an impromptu town meeting on July 10th at the Legion Hall to figure out what they're going to do next. At this point, they're all in danger. There are these documents with all of their signed statements out there for anyone to read, including Ken, and they know he will literally kill them. Almost 100 people show up to the meeting, which is all of the adults in the town, with the exception of Ken and his family. And even law enforcement was there, and they were like, so what do you guys think? Like,
yeah, everyone's
what should
like,
we do?
get the fuck out of here, you useless asshole.
Yes.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Thanks for nothing.
The audacity for the police to show up at that meeting
I know.
is unbelievable.
I know, they're not even there to give advice or anything. They're not like, okay,
They
here's
just want
our
some
plan.
ideas.
Yeah.
They're like, or like, here's my badge. You guys could just, you could just do it.
Do what you need to
try.
do.
Mhm.
Well, rumor has it that money was collected at this meeting and the town arranged for the death of Ken Rex McElroy.
Damn.
That's
crazy.
No one knows or will say what truly happened in that meeting. What we do know is the sheriff leaves town immediately after the meeting concludes. And Ken and Trina McElroy are driving into town headed for the D&G Tavern. They grab a few beers. They're on their way back out on their pickup truck, and they're followed by everyone in town. Physically walks up and surrounds their truck. Trina later said that the whole town was there staring at them, laughing at them, and just in a circle around the truck. And then the fire rang out. Ken was shot twice, once by a center fire rifle and once by a .22 caliber rim fire rifle. It's unclear how many shooters there were, but no one was bothered to call 911. Sources vary on how many people were there, citing somewhere between 40 to 100 witnesses.
Jeez.
Every single person there said they didn't see who fired the guns. Town lore says all of the shell casings were picked up and hauled away in a van immediately after it happened. But they missed some, like 2 or 3. And the police who did eventually show up found the shell casings from 2 weapons. And the rifles at the time were not registered, so they could not be traced back to anyone. But Trina says she saw exactly who fired the gun at her husband. It was a man named Dale Emmons, but everyone tells a different version of the story. Dale was a rancher, and he was actually the guy who owned the tavern that they were at. And Dale surely wouldn't have wanted Ken and his wife to be in his tavern because bad for business. You know, the town bullies in there. You don't want to go hang out. So knowing what we know about Ken stealing cattle and Dale being a rancher, it's highly likely that Ken stole some of Dale's cattle at that point in time. And all the stories are muddied and different from one to the other. And in the end, the district attorney declined to press any charges due to insufficient evidence.
You're like, he had it coming.
He totally had it coming.
Bet you would have done the same. Yeah.
You can't just terrorize a town and get away with it for that long.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's like totally right, but at that point in time, nothing was happening. People were scared for their lives and people were dying.
Yeah.
We don't know what was planned in the town meeting that fateful day. Was it just a plan to intimidate? Was it a plan for murder? Did some people just get carried away? Or
I think they definitely planned to kill him.
Totally.
And it's amazing that everyone's kept their mouth shut.
No one has said anything.
They must really hate him.
They hated him. He was the worst.
Yeah.
The only person who was talking was Trina. And, you know, she's so brainwashed. She said Ken would never bring any harm to anyone.
Oh my God.
And that's like his favorite thing to do.
Yeah, he loves giving harm.
The FBI was brought in. A task force was organized consisting of area and regional law enforcement to solve this case. They thought that it would be very simple. And when they created a list of witnesses, they came up empty-handed.
Was everyone just saying, we don't know who shot
they're
him?
like, we didn't see.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know what happened. The media immediately hooked onto this murder investigation of this town bully that had at least 50 witnesses, but no testimonies. The town population of about 250, and overnight it was flooded with reporters coming in, trying to talk to people, trying to get to learn more. Everyone knew what happened.
Yeah.
No one was talking, though.
Good for them.
Yeah. Trina told the FBI and 3 separate juries what happened, but no charges were ever brought on anyone.
Yeah,
and a lot of... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like... It's just self-defense at that point.
Yeah,
Like,
if the law is literally afraid of him, then you have to do something because he's not going to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should commit murder, but it sounds like he was going to kill them.
Yeah, especially when all those signed statements got out. They're like, okay, maybe we didn't have to murder him before, but now we kind of have to.
Yeah.
And the sheriff was like, la, 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 I don't hear anything. A lot of people think Trina was lying and that she never even saw Dale Emmons do it, but it's very possible that they're just gaslighting the hell out of her.
Yeah.
The McElroy family went into hiding after this, like you do. And this is not good. But they went into hiding and later reported that right after this incident, people would drive past their house and shoot into it.
That's fucked.
Yeah, that's not right.
No.
You know, those kids didn't do anything. The wives were groomed and that's not good. But in 1984, Trina filed a $6 million wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Skidmore. Against the sheriff, the mayor, and Dale Clemens. It was settled out of court for $17,000 by the town.
It's a big difference.
They just wanted her to be quiet and shut up about
barely a car.
I mean, in the 80s, it
That's
was,
true.
you know.
It was a small house.
Yeah. Something to replace all their windows that were shot out.
Yeah.
Maybe pay for a funeral.
$17,000.
No one ever admitted guilt, and they basically just paid her off. Trina did remarry and died of cancer in 2012 at 56 years old. Dale Clements died of cirrhosis of the liver in 2009, and without any deathbed confession, you know, no one was talking. And in the end, Ken was a known criminal and was even described as, quote, a rural terrorist. He was a rapist, a manipulator, a bully, and this, I like to call, is a perfect case of vigilante killing.
Yeah, it really is.
So,
Man, I'd never heard of that. That was so interesting.
I'm glad that you liked it. I hadn't heard of it either. Finally, Tommy gave me a story that wasn't super dark and fucked up as an idea. My sources are Antisocial Personality Disorder on medicalhealth.gov, Ken McElroy Vigilante Killing, a Midweek Mystery by Georgia Marie, Town Mute for 30 Years about a bully's killing by A.G. Sulzberger in the New York Times, the Ken McElroy Wikipedia page, and the Ken McElroy page on harrymcqueen.com. That's what I got.
That was so good. Thank you for that learning journey, and thank you for listening. Don't forget to come to Cocktail Hour this Friday. It's not too late to become a patron and join us there. As always, keep listening, keep recommending us to friends, rate, review, and subscribe. Do all the things. We love you. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.